But you got a flag down.
Oofside.
Everyone but the center. Offense.
You're listening to Oofsides on Track and Turf Media.
Talk about playoffs?
But they are who we thought they were.
Who's gonna win it all?
Football.
And who is Dunyan Rings?
You play to win the game.
Live from the Dieter Brock studio.
Don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug.
Here's the crew that's bringing it all to you.
Oh yeah, welcome back to another episode of Oofsides. We're wrapping up the off-season as preseason's kicking off right now. I'm your host, Matthew Steelman. With me, as always, is a man who needs no introduction.
Hey.
Dewey's here as always. How's it going?
Pretty good. We got football back.
Totally stole that joke from, have you ever seen the old Funhouse Band Manager videos?
I don't think I have.
They're all dressed up as like different famous musicians, and then Bruce is just dressed up as Aaron Barrett from Real Big Fish, and the
Oh my
entire
God.
bit is just nobody knows who he is. And so there's like the one where Lady Gaga's introducing everybody, and then she gets to him, and it's like, and finally a man who needs no introduction, and then it's just dead quiet, and he's like, come on, say my name.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah, last time we wrapped up everything with the NFL draft. We covered just some basic moves of the AFC. Now we're here to finish up some businesses. Preseason is basically, I think, officially started today, right?
It has. I mean, the Hall
Yeah.
of Fame game was last week, but everybody else is starting tonight.
Yeah. So hopefully nothing bad happens for a team, especially in need, that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
More on that later. But for now, I guess we'll just kick it off with rounding up the NFC, starting in the NFC East with last year's NFC Championship runner-ups, the Washington Commanders. Take it away.
What a sentence that is. They really made the NFC title game last year, huh?
Still doesn't feel real.
Yeah. But it was a very interesting offseason for the Commies. They got some quarterback depth, picked up Josh Johnson from the Ravens for what's his, 14th NFL team or some shit?
Gotta be. Let me look this up.
I honestly don't know if he's played for the Commanders before or not. I could not tell you off the top of my head. Oh, he played for them in 2018. Damn.
When you Google
not a
him,
new team.
yeah, I was gonna say, when you Google him, the first picture is him in a Redskins jersey.
I like how, let's see here, for 6 of the NFL seasons that he's been rostered, he did not appear in a game.
Yeah, so here's the full list of teams he's played for. Starting in 2008, this was the only time of stability in his career. He played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 4 seasons. Then it was the San Francisco 49ers, then the Sacramento Mountain Lions of the now defunct United Football League, followed by the Browns.
USL.
Yeah. The Browns, I could have gone and saw Josh Johnson play in my hometown in 2012 if I would have known.
Damn.
That's a bummer. The Browns, the Bengals, the 49ers again, the Bengals again, the Jets, the Colts, the Bills, the Ravens, the Giants, the Texans, the Raiders, the Redskins, the San Diego Fleet of the All-American, or of the Alliance of American Football, the
Fuck
Lions,
you, Tom Dundon.
the Los Angeles Wildcats of the second iteration of the XFL, the 49ers again, the Jets again, the Ravens again, the Broncos, the 49ers for a third time, the Ravens for a third time as well, and now back to Washington.
What a journey, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Fun fact also about Josh Johnson. He went to the University of San Diego and played college football there. Not San Diego State. FCS San Diego. His head coach was Jim Harbaugh.
Huh.
Stanford
Yeah,
hired
that's
him
nice.
away from San Diego.
It's funny how that works out.
The more you know.
Yeah. The commies did sign other people as well.
Yeah.
Not just
There were
backup
other
Josh
people.
Johnson, like wide receiver Michael Gallup, defensive end Dietrich Wise, Von Miller, one of the big
Yeah.
gets of the offseason. I see Nate Herbig is crossed off there. He retired, didn't he? If I
Yes, he
recall
did.
correctly. Yeah. They got Javon Kinlaw from the Jets. They signed kicker Matt Gay, who I believe has played for them before. Or I might be thinking of somebody else.
Maybe.
And cornerback Jonathan Jones from the Patriots.
I
They
am
also
going to miss Dietrich Wise and Jonathan Jones, by the way. They were two of the longest tenured defensive players here, but it became very clear very quickly, as we touched on last week, that Mike Vrabel wanted to turn a page and start a new era here. So it was not surprising to see those two end up out the door, but them both being on the same defense still was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. They also extended Marcus Mariota, their backup, who, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he have like a game-winning drive in a late season game or something like that last year?
I believe he did.
Yeah. Keeping Noah Brown and KJ Osborne around, as well as tight ends John Bates and Zach Ertz. That's a big one too. Zach Ertz was very good last year.
He was huge down the stretch for them.
Yeah. Jeremy McNichols, the running back. They kept Cleveland Farrell around, the former kind of draft bust from the Raiders, who's kind of turned his career around here. Bobby Wagner, another great pickup to keep around. Noah Igba. Oh my God, I'm Igbenogany. I know I could do this one. I know his name. And Tressway, their punter. Yeah, they're in a strange position this year because it really feels like they are kind of in a situation where they're going to go all in because you feel like you have a Super Bowl contender. But at the same time, you got to remember that this team was basically like one overtime game-winning drive against the Falcons in Week 17 away from not making the playoffs entirely. So could we see a regression from the Commanders this year? Kind of coming back to earth? Maybe. We could also see them go even higher. So I think the thing people got to remember is that if the Commanders don't repeat as NFC East champs, which they would be the first ones to do that since I think 2004, that I don't know if we need to really panic because also what am I talking about? They didn't win the NFC East last year. They were wild cards. But you get what I'm saying. Like if they win 8 games or whatever, I don't know if that's like, oh, this year is a disaster because they kind of they punched above their weight and came out of nowhere down the stretch last year.
Yet this is a good roster that still was ahead of schedule in terms of its long-term potential, making the NFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback and a first-year head coach. Not a first-year head coach, period, but first year with Washington. So everybody was still kind of gelling together, really, for those first couple weeks. So you saw, I mean, yeah, they went 4-1, I think, to start the year, but some of those 4s were not the prettiest of games. So
yeah,
they also have a pretty big situation looming over their head that we'll just jump into now, and that is the holdout with Terry McLaurin as he looks for a new contract, and he has requested a trade from the team. So if they can't get that figured out and they end up shipping him off elsewhere, that'd be a pretty big loss, not just on the field, but he has been one of their biggest leaders in the locker room with this whole transition from Dan Snyder and the old regime over now to Josh Harris and this new leaf. Like Terry McLaurin's really been the guy that's kept that ship afloat and kept this team's head in the right place on the field while all this other stuff's been going on. So it would be a massive, massive loss for the locker room if they can't get this figured out and they end up trading him.
Yeah, it would be a massive mistake to let him go. Especially because he's been through like the doldrums with this team.
All of it.
Like,
yeah.
Washington really cratered in like 2019, and that was, right before the names change and everything. Like, I remember going into 2019, a lot of people were predicting them to be the worst team in the league, and for a while they really looked like it. And he's been there since day one, right? So, like, this is a major culture changer, not just in terms of how good of a player he is, but like, he is, I would say, the leader of this offense. I know, obviously, that Jaden Daniels had a great rookie season, but like, Terry is the centerpiece of this offense, and they got to get this done. Like,
Yeah, if it tells you how long Terry McLaurin has been a member of this football team, he has been on the team for so long that Jay Gruden and Bruce Allen were still employed when he was drafted.
yeah,
So
this reminds me of that video. It was like 2 weeks before Jay Gruden got fired, and it was him just like sitting on the curb outside of a bar smoking a joint, and like somebody starts filming him, and you could literally see him like spot the person filming him, and he's just like, "Come on, man."
uh, oh man.
So yeah, hopefully the only major contract dispute where a star player of a team in the NFC East is demanding a trade. Hopefully that's the only one going on right now. Anyway,
Yeah,
the
no.
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. So another relatively quiet offseason too in terms of free agency, and that shouldn't be a concern for a team with the pedigree of the Cowboys, despite the 30-year-long stretch now of lack of postseason success. And
Yep.
at the end of the day, this is still the Dallas Cowboys. This is still a franchise that's won 5 Super Bowls and have had some of the greatest running backs, some of the greatest head coaches that this league has ever seen. That shouldn't be a problem. So now when you take this entire offseason and you look back and you realize that the biggest free agent acquisition the Cowboys made was Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, I'm a little concerned.
I mean, this is like the routine, right? Last year they went into the offseason and Jerry said we're all in, and then they were literally the last team to sign a single player to free agency. They just didn't replace Tony Pollard. Like, oh God, this team is driving me crazy. Like, I like the pickup of Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. They signed Paris Campbell, who's going to be a good 2 or 3. Sadiq Charles to help reinforce their offensive line. Defensive end Dante Fowler Jr. Man, I wonder, and Peyton Turner. I wonder who they're going to be potentially stepping in for. Solomon Thomas to shore up the middle of their defensive line. They also kept Kevontae Turpin around. I really like that move, and Jake Ferguson. Punt machine Brian Anger. Yeah. The big thing with this though is the contract holdout with Micah Parsons. I mean, everybody's seen the trade request. This is what Jerry does, and it drives me fucking crazy because he did the same goddamn thing with Zeke Elliott, and he did it, I think, 2 years ago with Dak, where
And CeeDee Lamb.
yeah, where they signed Dak to this huge extension, like literally the day of their week 1 game. And it's like, we came into this offseason knowing that Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, oh my God, Bengals guy, what's his name?
Trey Hendrickson.
Trey Hendrickson, thank you. And Myles Garrett, who all you could make an argument, and actually, I just remember Max Crosby too. You could make an argument that all 5 of those guys could be the best pass rusher in the league, and all 5 of them are entering contract years, and all 5 of them are going to want to be the highest paid player in the NFL. And like, credit where credit's due, the Browns and the Raiders got ahead of this whole situation and signed their guys early, right?
Well,
because it was going to be way cheaper then.
Well, Myles Garrett requested a trade, and he was going to hold out too if they didn't get it done. And the Browns realized, oh fuck, if we let our generational pass rusher go while we're already in a period of transition, we're going to fall right back into where we just spent the last 15 years. Let's get this fucker done. And they did. So they got that whole thing taken care of, and they can go and address other things. Raiders did the same thing. The Steelers did the same thing. They paid TJ Watt a whole shit ton of money. And then there's the Cowboys and Bengals.
Yeah. And I can't help but see this whole situation as Jerry Jones is just doing it for attention, because there is zero chance in hell that Micah Parsons gets traded. Like, there's absolutely no chance.
The package that would be required for that to happen, I don't think a single team in the NFL would probably be able to pony up, because if you're probably talking for a player of this pedigree at the age he's at, you're probably talking a Herschel Walker type return.
Yeah,
And
that's
even
exactly
for
what I
a
was
team
thinking.
in desperate need of a pass rusher, I don't think would pony up that much to get any one player. as good as he
Yeah.
is. Because
It's
you're
just
talking probably 3, maybe 4 first-round picks. You're talking probably maybe a Pro Bowl caliber defender from your side, maybe another couple players. Like it would take a lot. And at
yeah.
that point, is it worth it to mortgage your future for one guy? I don't know. If it's the NBA where you only have 5 guys on the court at once, maybe. Is it worth it in baseball to maybe get that 5th starting pitcher you need for a playoff run? Yeah, maybe. But one guy out of 11 on the field and out of 53 on the total roster, it's a whole lot more risky.
Yeah, it's just it's a completely unneeded distraction. Just pay the man. It's really not that hard, man. Like, come on. And like the longer you wait, the more expensive it's gonna get. So it's just
More
ridiculous. And I
desperate
feel
they get.
bad.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Brian Schottenheimer, who was promoted to head coach. Mixed feelings about that. I will say I loved Marty. Marty's one of like my all-time favorite coaches, so I do get kind of fuzzy feelings thinking about that. But this was a fairly juiceless hire when it happened. But whatever, man. I would rather see him coach before I judge him. So I'm rooting for him. I like Matt Eberflus as a DC. He built a good defense with the Bears. That's about it.
I mean, I think back in a coordinator role, he could be fine because, like, obviously when he was
Yeah.
with the Colts before the Bears hired him, you never heard about Matt Eberflus in the news. Now, obviously, him being on the Cowboys, you'll probably hear about him anyway. But now that he's
Oh, yeah.
not in that head coaching role anymore and he can just focus on his one side of the ball, I think that'll be fine.
Yeah, well, imagine what he can do if he has Micah Parsons. So,
Exactly.
just saying. So
But you're
this
putting him
team,
and Schottenheimer both behind the 8 ball if they can't get that taken care of.
exactly. This team drives me up the goddamn wall. So, knowing this and knowing my criticisms, they're going to win 11 games and then get embarrassed in the wild card round. So,
Would be funny, I can't lie.
yeah.
One
And
other thing about the Cowboys, though, Donovan Ezeraku, who they picked in round 2, might be one of the biggest steals of this entire draft. That kid
I
is
look-
good.
I look forward to it. And I was going to say, if there's no Mike Parsons, he's probably going to be getting a lot of gameplay. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the defending Super Bowl champions. Not going to lie, I kind of already have forgotten about this. Just
Very
because that
juicy
Super Bowl was a bunk ass game.
It's a
It's the
bloodbath.
Philadelphia. Yeah, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. They added AJ Dillon from the Packers to shore up their running game. Josh Uche from the Chiefs, who watched himself get destroyed and was like, "Damn, it's looking pretty cool over there." Aziz Ojulari from the Giants. You got Harrison Bryant and Kylan Granson to fill their tight end spots, and cornerback Adoree Jackson from the Giants as well. I guess they're just plundering the Giants after Saquon. Like, hey, we should try that again. Maybe there's
Pretty
other
much.
good people on that team.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Saquon did get signed to an extension, as well as their tackle Lane Johnson, center Cam Jurgens, and Zach Bond, who was like the free agency, I guess, steal of the last year's class.
Arguably could have won the Defensive Player of the Year award last year with how clutch he was for them.
Oh yeah, huge performance
And-
in the Super Bowl as well.
And also Saquon, between the regular season and the playoffs, having, I think you could make the argument for the single greatest season by a running back of all time.
It's up there. Definitely up there.
I think if you ranked running back seasons and you put him at number 1, I would not find a way to dispute it. It was that good.
I will say I like the pickup of AJ Dillon a lot because Saquon does have an injury history and he was a workhorse last year, so I would not be surprised if there was a little downturn in performance this year. So AJ Dillon's a really good number 2 in that
More
running game.
bruising back too, like those third down short yardage situations. He'd be like the perfect guy to plug in there to try to just bust through the line and get the first they need and take some weight off of Saquon.
They also had to replace their offensive coordinator, Kellen
Moore.
Kellen Moore, thank you. I knew Kellen was his first name. So Kevin Patullo gets promoted from within. Man, I like if I were to predict any of the NFC East teams to be the one to finally repeat. Like this Eagles team seems pretty strong, but we probably also said that after 2017. So it is the NFC
Yeah.
East. So they are completely unpredictable. So
I still think they are the favorite here.
yeah.
Like, there's no reason to say like otherwise at this point. I mean, we had all the talk about Nick Sirianni leading up to last season, and he went out and led his team to win the Super Bowl. So
Yep.
you proved all the doubters wrong, shut all the haters up. Like they went out, they took care of business. There's no reason why they shouldn't be in this situation again next year.
Yeah, and unlike the last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, we're not going into that with a giant question mark over who should actually be the quarterback anymore. Like this is Jalen Hurts' team through and through.
Yes.
So, yeah, and then finally wrapping up the NFC East, it's the New York Giants.
This is weird. So, out goes Drew Lock, and out goes Daniel Jones after the huge extension he got. In comes Russell Wilson, and in comes Jameis Winston.
Can you this is going to be the funniest quarterback room of all time. Like
Those two and Tommy DeVito.
just the most almost annoyingly positive guys in the NFL as
Yeah.
teammates.
Yep.
And it's in New York too, so we're never gonna not hear about them. Yeah.
What a list of guys right there. And also their fourth one, Jackson Dart, who they picked in the first round from Ole Miss. So, I mean, Jackson Dart's going to have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston to learn behind. I mean, that's a national championship winning quarterback and a Super Bowl winning quarterback in front of him. So, two pretty solid guys to learn the league from and pick their brains apart for, information and tactics and strategy and everything. So, that'll be fun to watch develop over the preseason into the regular season. Also picked up Zach Pascal for some wide receiver depth. Got James Hudson for some O-line help. Chauncey Golston, Jeremiah Ledbetter, Roy Robertson Harris, Chris Board, and Paulson Adebo for defensive help as well. So pretty solid signings there, honestly. Pairing that with Abdul Carter, their first round pick out of Penn State. And also Cam Scatteraboo, who had the very notable game in the college football playoff against Texas to help with the running back room. This is a pretty solid draft for this team. Pretty decent offseason in terms of free agency. There's a lot to like here, but I still think this is a fourth place team this season.
Yeah. I think you will definitely see an improvement over last year. I do think we'll probably see Jameis traded by the end of preseason because
Maybe.
they re-signed Tommy DeVito. I don't know how much it was for. I could look it up real quick, but
Probably not much.
Yeah, but they added 3 quarterbacks, and Jameis seems what's the difference between having him as backup or a third string? Like he and Russell Wilson, they kind of fill the same gap at this point in their careers in terms of where you would slot them in the quarterback hierarchy. So I would imagine if you see a team that has a quarterback go down in the preseason or something like that, or even early in the year, I think Jameis gets traded. I don't know if he stays on this roster because it seems like Russell Wilson will probably be the week 1 starter. And, they like Jackson Dart, and, it's going to come down to either DeVito or Jameis isn't going to be on this team. And I think they have a little more invested in Tommy DeVito. So,
Which is insane to say, but yeah. I think it's also a 1-year deal for. I don't know about Jameis, but I know Russell Wilson's on a 1-year deal. So
yeah, I believe you are correct.
this should be Jackson Dart's team at this point next season if all goes according to plan.
Yeah, I would imagine Wilson starts the first 5 or 6 games or whatever because the Giants have an extremely hard schedule this year.
It'll probably go like the way that Jacoby Brissett and Drake May did with the Patriots last year.
Yeah. So we'll see. I expect the Giants to probably not be very competitive this year, but maybe better.
I mean,
so
this could be a 7-win last place team for all we know.
Yeah,
It's entirely possible.
So you never
But
know.
if they win 7 games again, it might still cost Dayball his job. So
Yeah.
that'll remain to be seen.
And that is the NFC East. And now we move to the NFC North with the Chicago Bears, were last year's first overall pick. This is one of the funny things about the Bears last year is like it was such an unmitigated disaster, and then you look at Caleb Williams' season, and you're like, oh, he was actually like kind of good.
Yeah, despite everything that happened, he was not bad at all.
He still put together a pretty solid season. They did find him a like competent backup, something that he needed last year, Case Keenum. I really like that move. They signed Devin Duvernay from the Jaguars, as well as Olamide Zaccheaus from the Commanders, and Durham Smythe from the Dolphins. Drew Dowling from the center from Atlanta to help shore up that terrible offensive line. And
Good
then added
Lord.
Grady Jarrett, not even going to try to pronounce that name, and Deo Obangbo. Did you want to take a swing at the guy from the Saints?
Tano Passanio. I totally didn't
okay.
have his Wikipedia article pulled up for that. But seriously, that like some really good stuff here. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like Case Keenum having a veteran guy in the locker room to, lean on and learn from is going to be key for a guy still developing and having to be the leader of a team still in transition. I love the Grady Jarrett signing. Like, obviously, I don't think he's quite what he was, but he's still going to be a vocal leader on the defense for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping Travis Homer under wraps is a good, backup running back option. Extending Ryan Poles, say what you will, but, having some front office stability can never hurt either.
I mean, look at how he fleeced the Panthers like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
that's taken care of for now. And then, of course, you've got the whole new coaching staff. Ben Johnson coming over from Detroit. Dennis Allen becoming the defensive coordinator after being let go by the Saints last year. Getting Press Taylor from the Jaguars after their entire coaching staff got let go. Declan Doyle, a young up-and-coming coordinator up from the Broncos. And Eric Bieniemy, who they got from UCLA, who's now their running backs coach. So this is a pretty solid coaching staff that they've got here now.
Yeah, Bieniemy paired up with Ben Johnson might be like a secret weapon.
Yeah.
I
also love the Luther Burden pick in round 2.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, we did talk about it. I wish they would have done more offensive line related, but I think they believe that they can grow from the inside. Everybody
take a tackle round 2, but I think more like Ozzie Trapillo like has potential there, but I think a free agent acquisition of like a known guy would have probably been beneficial for them as well. And I think the Coast and Loveland pick in round 1 is still leaving some people scratching their heads because of the existence of Cole Kmet. But if they can successfully run a 2 tight end system the way the Patriots did in the early 2010s with He Who Shall Not Be Named and Rob Gronkowski, maybe it won't be such a head scratcher a year or 2 from now. But there's still a lot to like, still a lot of question marks. But I don't think they're going to be the worst team in this division. I'll just come up and say that now.
Yeah, and if anybody's going to figure it out, I think it's going to be Ben Johnson. So
yeah.
Yeah. And then we go back to the number 1 seed in the NFC last year. Shockingly got one and done. It is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. I don't think anybody saw that coming at all. I mean, a 15-win team with an arguably historically good offense getting bounced in round 1 or round 2 by a rookie quarterback. But that's just how the dice gets rolled sometimes. So they've addressed that by bringing in Kyle Allen as a backup option behind Jared Goff, Kenny Yeboah for some tight end depth, Zach Cunningham for the linebacker core, Avonte Maddox from the Eagles. I like that move, as well as Rocky Yassin from the Niners and DJ Reed. So three different cornerbacks now coming in.
Really like those moves.
Yeah. And with the season-ending injury to Ennis Rakestraw in the Hall of Fame game last week, definitely glad they have that depth now, than more so than before.
Yeah. They also re-signed Tim Patrick, who was, I believe, their 3rd receiver, if I'm not mistaken. Safety Kirby Joseph is now the highest paid safety in NFL history, and I think he's very much worth it. Khalil Dorsey as well, Marcus Davenport, Levi Onwuzurike, Dan Skipper, who genuinely, I think Dan Campbell just has him report as eligible for the meme every play.
Might as well. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a team that knows that they are in their window and they went shopping big time. They're keeping together all their important guys. And like what we talked about with how shocking their first round loss was, there was a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, well look at how injured they were, but they were getting it done on defense up until the Commanders came to town.
Yeah.
You know,
That
they
and
were the
Bills
ones, yeah, with that obliterated defense that exposed the flaw in the Vikings offensive scheme that the Rams just spammed in round one also. So it's not like they weren't able to play on defense. It's just they got in a shootout and it really kind of came down to what team made less mistakes. You know, and I look at this team a lot like when we talked about the Bills last week, where it's like I don't think you look at that failure and you go, "Oh, we got problems." I think it's just it didn't bounce your way. You know, sometimes all you can do is just keep trying to get better and stay down the path you're going and roll the dice. So they did have to replace both their offensive and defensive coordinators. John Morton is the new OC. Kelvin Shepard is the new DC. As well as David Shaw became the pass game coordinator. So this is going to be the interesting thing too, is how much of their success is Dan Campbell, how much of it was Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson.
Yeah, can they sustain it?
Yeah, and can they get these guys to perform at the same level? So it'll be interesting.
I think the answer is yes, but we'll find out eventually.
Yeah. The I believe 7 seed in the 7 seed in the playoffs last year, the Green Bay Packers. They signed Mecole Hardman from the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe they have 2 or 3 former Chiefs receivers on their roster now.
Something like that.
Yeah, Nate Hobbs from the underrated Vegas defense. Aaron Banks
That was
from
a good pickup for them.
Yeah, guard Aaron Banks from the 49ers and linebacker Isaiah Simmons from the Giants. I like that move too. As well as extending Zach Tom, Isaiah McDuffie, and kicker Brandon McManus.
They gave Zach Tom a lot of money too, and it was well deserved. He is an underrated tackle, probably top 5 in the league, and they paid him accordingly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we did mention finally drafting a wide receiver in the first round, Matthew Golden. This is another team that it's hard for me to kind of describe the Packers right now because on like Jordan Love already feels like a mini or a mini Brett Favre with the like wild,
hell of an arm, hell of a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, there was a really good fan cam edit I saw recently where it was just like Jordan Love clips and then Brett Favre doing literally the exact same thing.
A true gunslinger in the word.
This is the team I have the hardest job like projecting in this division, just because it's like they could become a powerhouse and they could also just crash and burn. So you never know.
I think this team could be a 13-win division winner, and I could also think they could be a 9-win last place team.
Yeah, like winning 9 or 10 games and missing the playoffs entirely.
Yeah.
So it'll be
joining
interesting.
The Bengals and being an above 500 team that finished in last place because your whole division's just that cracked.
Yeah. And then finally, rounding out said division is last year's 14-win 5 seed. It's the Minnesota Vikings,
who were also one and done in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah, the NFC North sent 3 very, very good teams into the playoffs, and they combined for 0 playoff wins. So
at one point, it looked like they were going to send all 4.
Yeah,
early in the year.
Yeah, and then things happened. But the things the Vikings did, though, I mean, Rondale Moore from the Falcons, who, if you remember from last year, Rondale Moore was traded from the Cardinals to the Falcons for Desmond Ridder as a 1-for-1 move, and then he tore he tore something, missed the entire season, and then Desmond Ridder ended up getting cut and went to the Raiders. So quite literally, both teams got nothing out of that trade.
I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Yeah. But now the Vikings have Rondale Moore for pretty much nothing. I mean, it's a very low risk move here just for some receiver depth. The Will Freeze pickup on the offensive line though is a big move for them. Pretty depleting of the Colts because they picked up their center Ryan Kelly too with
Oh
the
my gosh.
departure of Garrett Bradbury to the Patriots. So they picked up 2 guys from the Colts O-line. Jonathan Allen, who I think was a cap casualty for the Commanders. Javon Hargrave from the Niners, another underrated move. Eric Wilson from the Packers, and Jeff Okudah from Houston. And of course, taking care of Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, extending those guys, giving Andrew Van Ginkel a very deserving 1-year extension. Byron Murphy got extended, and their longtime safety Harrison Smith, who's going to start his 14th season as a safety.
That is wild.
He's like 35, 36, still doing it as a starting safety in the league. Shout out Harrison Smith, man. Also brought back Theo Jackson and Josh Metellus. So they lost some guys, but they replenished them also pretty well. The Donovan Jackson pick also in round 1 to shore up the O-line is also a great move. Ty Felton from Maryland in round 3 could be a great underrated receiver pickup. So there's still some good here. Obviously a very disappointing end to last year, like with the Lions and the Packers, but I think it's still looking up for these guys, even though their 35 touchdown man Sam Darnold is gone, and it will indeed be JJ McCarthy this time.
Yeah, and I will say they would not have made this move to move on from Darnold if they didn't have the utmost faith in JJ McCarthy, because people kind of forget that he was going to be the week 1 starter until he got hurt in his only preseason game.
And he looked pretty decent in it too. Like it wasn't like he was looking bad or anything. He just happened to get hurt.
Yeah, and I remember going into this year, there was a lot of people speculating like, oh, it's going to be Darnold, it's going to be Rodgers, it's going to be whoever. And it's like they wouldn't have moved up in the draft to go get JJ McCarthy and then just move on from him before seeing anything. Like, I know the 49ers did that with Trey Lance, but they at least tried to get Trey Lance into the starting lineup, and it never worked out, right?
Yeah.
This is somebody that they have a ton of faith in, and like you look at what Kevin O'Connell just did to revive Sam Darnold's career, I have no doubt that he is going to be able to make JJ McCarthy into his starting quarterback. Are they going to do the same thing as last year? That's the big question.
They should hope that he does, because their backups are Brett Rippon and Sam Howell.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. So,
but at the end of the day,
then,
this is a 14-win team from last year, so they're still,
So, moving on to the NFC South, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, back-to-back, or no, 3-time defending division champs now. Four times. It's 4 in a row. Yeah.
No, 5. Nope,
no,
it's 4.
They were a wild card the year they won Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, they started by signing Hassan Reddick from the Jets. Like that move, as long as he actually plays.
Yeah,
picked up
key
Riley
part here.
Yeah, picked up Riley Dixon from the Broncos, as well as guard Charlie Heck from the 49ers, and quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is back. I believe this is the second season in a row he's retired and then unretired. I might be misremembering that, but
yeah, I do want to give just a quick shout out here, because he got fucking railroaded the past couple weeks with that high school job he had.
Really?
Like, he was doing so many good things for those kids, but they had to pull the bullshit official rule crap and suspend him when he was like giving them Ubers to get like he wasn't doing anything blatantly bad. It was like, I think he talked about it in his presser after being signed, where he was like, I coach in a tough neighborhood. I know what it's like to walk through those hallways and not know what it's, have enough money for lunch and stuff like that. And like, he was doing a lot of good for those kids, and for that to end the way it did was just sad. It was
I've just seen it
really
now.
sad.
Yeah, it reminds me of God. I have so many problems with the like amateurism rules, and that's why I'm so glad that it's opened up a whole can of worms. But why the NCAA has like moved away from it. But God damn, yeah, that sucks. So, but I mean, he can still throw a football really goddamn well. Like,
Yeah,
so I'm glad he's able to. I hope he can find another coaching job or something because Teddy Bridgewater seems like he would be a fantastic coach.
he just
Everybody loves Teddy.
and a stand-up guy. So
Yeah.
like, there's no wrong, no bad there whatsoever.
Oh yeah. Reinforcing that quarterback room, the Bucks also signed Kyle Trask to an extension, as well as Chris Godwin and Sterling Shepard. Guard Ben Bredesen, defensive end Anthony Nelson, defensive tackle Greg Gaines, and linebacker Levante David. This is another team that's kind of in their window, and it's like, all right, you've got a really solid core, keeping all the guys around. I've been seeing, I don't know if I necessarily am going to jump on this bandwagon yet, even though I'm a huge fan, but I've seen a lot of Baker Mayfield MVP buzz.
Good.
It'll be interesting. So I think the thing you hope to see from this team is just consistency throughout the whole year, because this is 2 years in a row where they have come out of the gates swinging and then went into a slump in the middle of the year and then had to scrape into the playoffs and then made some noise there. So if the Bucks can just be good the whole year, win 12 games or whatever, I think that'll be a huge step in the right direction. So
Yeah, and we touched on it a bit last week, but taking a wide receiver room that includes Super Bowl champion and future Hall of Famer Mike Evans, and Super Bowl champion and potential Buccaneers Hall of Famer Chris Godwin, and adding defending national champion Emeka Egbuka to that room is fucking absurd. I can't believe he slid all the way to 19 where the Bucks got him. That could very quickly this year or next year be the best like top 3 receivers of any team in the league.
yeah, and I mean, you look at the production they got out of Baker, and when he was throwing to Sterling Shepard and Kate Otten, who was basically substituting in as a wide receiver instead of tight end, and he still threw for 4,500 yards, and they were still winning games. Like, if this is a team that stays healthy, that's right. That right there shows you why people see them as a Super Bowl contender now.
I don't think it's out of the question that Baker has a 5,000-yard season. I really don't.
He's gotten better every year with the Bucks. I think the only, like, the main question people have is, they don't have Liam Cohen anymore, but like, this offense survived losing Dave Canales. Can they survive losing Liam Cohen? We'll see. Josh Grizzard is now internally promoted as the new OC. And obviously, like, they had some problems last year with Todd Bowles' game management, but at this point, like, I'm just kind of, I don't want to say I'm sold on Todd Bowles, but he's a good coach. He's built a really good defense, and we've seen him get more aggressive as the years go on, and I think he knows that. I think he's figuring out that it's like, hey, we have a hell of an offense. Let's lean into it more. So
Yeah, as any good team should.
yeah. The team that finished second in the division, the Atlanta Falcons, trying to end their playoff drought.
Yeah, and they will be paying Kirk Cousins like $40 million a year to not be the starting quarterback. Just had to put that out there again because it's ridiculous.
Have you watched the Netflix quarterback series yet?
I have not, but I want to.
I've seen clips of it, and Kirk Cousins is in it, and I'm just like, Kirk Cousins is not a bad guy, but he's just annoying enough that I really don't like him anymore. Like, there's a clip of him and all of his friends out at dinner, and they're like ordering drinks, and they're all ordering, I can't remember what they're called. They're like I think it's a Roy Johnson is the name of the drink, where it's just like a Coke with fucking grenadine in it. And Kirk is like, oh, none for me, just water. If it was the off season, I'd totally be getting one. Like, acting like it's some crazy thing to order a soda. And like, there's a clip of him and his brother like a cappella singing "Cher" in the car. It's just this guy, this fucking guy.
I mean,
I don't know what it is.
If you're sitting on the bench making $40 million a year, what else are you gonna be doing?
Yeah,
Gotta pass the time somehow.
And it's funny too, because like, he genuinely comes off as a good dude. Like, when he got benched, he, like, as upset as he was, he immediately was like, I'm going to do everything I can to help Michael Penis Jr. And so it's just like, it's a weird dichotomy of like, Kirk Cousins is extremely likable, and yet I don't like him.
Yeah, and welcome aboard Easton Stick to that quarterback room now.
Yeah.
A good third string guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Picked up Divine Diablo from the Raiders and Morgan Fox also from the Chargers. So pretty quiet on the free agency front, but keeping Kadero Hodge, keeping Jake Matthews, Caleb McGarry, who both are standout tackles by this point, bringing back our guy Kentavious Street, keeping Mike Hughes in the fold. So they kept a lot of their key guys that were coming up for new contracts. Bringing in Jeff Ulbrich as a DC was a pretty solid move as well, even with all the noise around him and the Jets and his son over the past year.
Yeah.
And also getting two really good defensive players in round one, Jalen Walker from Georgia and James Pierce from Tennessee. So they've replaced Grady Jarrett with a pretty solid option, of course, from the vaunted SEC. So there's still a good amount of stuff to like here. This is still a pretty talented core. It remains to be seen how Michael Penis projects into the year 2 and how he can take that next step. But I think he can. He looked good in some of the games he played last year. You know, some more familiarity now over the offseason, and with this training camp taking first team reps, I think this could be a good season for this team.
Yeah, and again, you look at the way the end of that season goes. There's that, I think it was a Sunday night game against the Commanders that went to overtime. If they win that game, they are in the playoffs. And all of a sudden, Michael Penix is stealing all of the Jaden Daniels hype of like, holy shit, this new rookie quarterback, you know. So it'll be interesting to see. This really does. I don't want to say it feels like a do or die, make or break season, but the Falcons have got to make it back to the playoffs because it has been since 2017 now. At this point, we're coming up on a decade.
God, yeah.
Another team that is actually the same drought. It's the Carolina Panthers. Picked up Rico Dowdle from the Cowboys, Hunter Renfrow from I believe he was still on the Raiders. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't think he played at all last year.
Oh no, you are. Yeah, actually, you're right. I remember him getting released last year. Patrick Jones Jr. or Patrick Jones II from Minnesota, Bobby Brown III from the Rams to build up that defensive line, Trevon Moehrig from the Raiders as well, Tershawn Wharton from the Chiefs, and punter Sam Martin from Buffalo. Also keeping Andy Dalton and David Moore around, Tommy Tremble, Austin Corbett, and J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn's been a standout player on this defense so far. This is a team that we finally saw like major footsteps from Bryce Young after his benching, which it is funny to just think about, like, after that benching, everybody was like, oh, he's done. And then as it turned out, it's like, no, sometimes you just need a break. And letting him kind of recompose himself, kind of rebuilt his confidence, it seemed like.
Well, not just a break, but also a break with the right people around you.
Yeah.
Because year one with Frank Reich was just so disastrous that, like, no amount of benching was going to help him that year. But, like, you know, having a committed, you know, coaching staff and all that around him now, you could definitely see why, you know, that benching helped him that time around. And also now, you know, taking this improved offense, adding Ted McMillan into it from their round one pick from Arizona, you know, adding Hunter Renfrow, who is still a pretty solid slot receiver despite being out of the league for a year, adding Rico Dowdle, who can help supplant, oh my God, what's his name? Chuba Hubbard in the backfield. Yep. Like, I think this offense will improve even more this year. Will this be a playoff team? I have my doubts, but I still think you're going to see this team win a couple more games than it did last year.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to the playoffs. I think there's too many good teams, especially in the North and maybe even the East, depending on how the Cowboys and Commies do. But I do expect this team to win 6 games. I think, you know, it is funny that like last year, it was almost like, I don't want to say lowered expectations, but like Bryce Young came back into the starting role and played at like an above average starter level, and everybody was like, holy shit, Bryce. And so like that, but that's what we needed to see, because what we had seen before that was just absolute disaster. And if anybody is going to be able to kind of, I don't want to say tear down a quarterback, but basically remove everything else that's happened in previous years, as my cat is now yelling at me, and then rebuild them, it's going to be Dave Canales, because you look at how he turned Geno Smith around, where Geno was a guy that perpetually everybody was like, he's still in the league, and now he's paid however much every year, and he's a starting quarterback for a team. Like, he's been to the playoffs, and then he look at what he did for Baker Mayfield. So, like, this is the guy that's going to turn around Bryce Young if anybody's going to do it. So
Yeah.
And a team that seems to have absolutely nothing going for it right now, it's the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. So I guess we'll just start, with who they got, I guess. Brought in Cam Akers from the Vikings. Old pal Brandon Cooks is back, who they traded away to the Patriots back in 2017. He's back in the fold now. Donovan Peoples-Jones from the Lions, Justin Reed from the Chiefs, Julian Blackmon, I actually like that pickup a lot from them, for the Colts, and Jack Stoll from the Dolphins. They also extended Dante Pettis, Jawan Johnson, Cam Jordan, who's like in his 15th year now, and Chase Young, who they got as a low-risk, high-reward pickup, and they got the high reward, and they paid him accordingly for it.
Oh, yeah.
So their defensive line is still pretty damn good. And then this is the part that is just really interesting, and that is Kellen Moore is now this team's head coach. Doug Nussmeier is now this team's offensive coordinator, who they got from Philly. Brandon Staley is now the defensive coordinator. I don't like this. Is a rookie head coach with a defensive coordinator who had a horrible stint as a head coach himself. I don't know.
Yeah, this very much feels like the kind of let it collapse year and see who's worth keeping around so Kellen Moore can build the team that he wants, right?
Yeah, and losing Derek Carr in the offseason to retirement as a result of his shoulder basically exploding. So they drafted Tyler Shuck in the second round from Louisville, and while he's not bad, he was the oldest quarterback picked. He's already like 26 years old. They drafted Kelvin Banks from Texas, that is a very good pick, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you're now going to have a 26-year-old rookie and Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener. And Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener did not look great in their limited appearances last year. And there's really there's just not really a veteran in that quarterback room that these guys can lean on and learn from and all that. It's just them.
Yeah, this almost feels like
young and experienced guys.
It almost feels like the Saints are trying to win the Arch Manning sweepstakes, especially because Archie played here.
Now, I will say Kellen Moore obviously was a quarterback himself and is the winningest quarterback in NCAA history, at least in the FBS level with Boise State. So I think there's experience Kellen Moore can give them from his own playing career, but I still think that there needs to be a veteran guy in that room that they can lean on. And to me, you mentioned him earlier potentially being traded. I think Jameis Winston's a prime candidate to go back to the Saints.
Yeah, I could see that. The Derek Carr thing's weird too, because it's like that entire situation seemed like Carr wanted out, but the Saints weren't trading him or whatever, or vice versa, something like that. And so he's like, well, I'm just retiring because of this injury that just all of a sudden, nobody had heard about before this, and now all of a sudden it's basically a career-ending injury. Very much reminds me of like Carson Palmer with the
with the Cardinals
with the Bengals, where he was like, "Oh, I guess I'll just retire." Yeah. And so that's another situation where if a team really needs a quarterback, I could see them come knocking on Derek Carr's door. He might be actually retired, so we'll see.
I think he's done. Honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so. Either way, I think this is a very, very, very safe pick to finish in last place this year.
Yeah. So
I still can't believe I was right about it last year, but I think it's a much safer option this year.
Yeah, I was kind of singing their praises, and I was like, you know what? Don't sleep on the Saints. And turns out you probably should have.
Should have taken some fucking melatonin before it too. Really knock your socks off.
Oh yeah. And that is the last of the NFC South. And as we move on to the West, a team that I don't think any of us really expected to crater like they did is the San Francisco 49ers. They kept up an interesting stretch in Kyle Shanahan's career, which is that every season Kyle Shanahan has either been to the NFC title game or lost 10 plus games.
Which one will happen this time?
Yeah, take your bets. They picked up
Vote
Mac
now on your
Jones. Picked up Mac Jones as their new backup quarterback. That'll be an interesting one. Demarcus Robinson came over from the Rams, as well as Equanimous St. Brown from the Saints. They picked up tight end Ross Dwelley from the Falcons, tight end Luke Farrell from the Jags as well, and punter Thomas Morstead from the Jets. As well as they finally made the decision and re-signed Brock Purdy.
Dude,
I believe. How much was his deal for? Because I
It
think
was-
he was.
it was like the Trevor Lawrence deal, I'm pretty sure, and the 201. It was, and here's the thing, like, I get why they did it. I just don't know if he was the one they should have done it with.
Yeah, it's tough because there's a lot of people out there who doubt Brock Purdy, and I think it is justified. Last year definitely showed that. They had a lot of games that they should have won that they didn't. And I think of I'm pretty sure it was the Lions game that Brock Purdy basically lost them.
5 years, 265 million, by the way, is the
Yeah.
exact figure for that, which is about 40 or let's see here, $53 million a year.
Yeah, the only thing I think is, like, I don't know how you don't pay Brock Purdy, and when you look at the 2.5 seasons that he's been your quarterback at this point. And yes, there are some doubts over whether or not he is this game changer, if he is this franchise quarterback. But like sometimes when you have a guy, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
I
Pull the trigger and
know,
hope it works.
yeah, and a lot of the criticism about it too, of how much they paid him, a lot of that is kind of just how quarterback contracts get done.
It's just the market.
Yeah, it's next man up. Derek Carr was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL for a hot minute. So I think there are some questions, but they kept Kyle Juszczyk around. They kept George Kittle, Fred Warner, Patrick Taylor, Kevin Givens. So they're clearly trying to keep this talent around him. I think the ideal thing that Kyle Shanahan wants out of his quarterback is just somebody who just makes the layups.
Yeah.
And for the most part, Brock Purdy can do that. So.
The problem is, if that's truly all Kyle Shanahan wants, I think they could have found somebody that can do it for less than $265 million at least 80% of what Brock Purdy can do it at.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing too is like Kyle Shanahan has like publicly said he would love to have Kirk Cousins as his quarterback, and it's like, well, you might be able to get him now. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. But the big one for me here out of all of this is bringing Robert Saleh back as a defensive coordinator.
Oh yeah.
I think that above anything else is going to be the biggest move they make in this offseason.
Yeah, because their defenses have been good, but they haven't been like truly special since Saleh
left. Yeah.
So that's a huge pickup for them. And then we move on to another team that was very strange last year, is the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. So they got, first off, before anything, Jacoby Brissett to be their new backup quarterback. So
Jake Brisket.
The Patriots and Cardinals swapped backups because, sure. I do like the Josh Sweat signing a lot. The Eagles are going to miss him on the defensive side of the ball for sure. I think that was a cap casualty they really couldn't bring back, but the Cardinals got him. They also brought back old friend Calais Campbell, who spent like the first 9 years of his career with the Cardinals and was there for those really good mid-2010s teams. So a nice little reunion at the twilight of his career.
Yeah, he was part of the Super Bowl team in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dalvin Tomlinson from the Browns, Akeem Davis-Gaither from the Bengals, two pretty good defensive pickups as well. And of course, giving Trey McBride the big contract he deserved. Zay Jones, they extended. Kelvin Beachum, they extended. Baron Browning and Evan Brown. There's no like real sexy pick from the draft that like stands out amongst the rest. I mean, Will Johnson from Michigan, But I think a lot of people expected to go higher than he did. Could end up being a pretty solid value pick if he can pan out to where people thought he would. And Walter Nolan, I admit I don't really know much about Walter Nolan, but big guy you can stick in the middle of the defensive line, can't hurt to pick him up anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't think this is a division-winning team, but if the conference as a whole falters a little bit, maybe they could back in as a wild card.
Yeah, and last year, going into last year, I was very public about being like still kind of on the Kyler Murray train, and I'm not saying I'm out, but last year kind of exemplified what you're going to get out of Kyler Murray. Is you got 6 or 7
Saw
games
more
where
of
he
his
was
ceiling than his floor.
Yeah, you got 6 or 7 games where he was electric, and then you got mediocrity and and a very inconsistent quarterback. And he's in that kind of unenviable position that you see guys like Derek Carr or Sam Bradford in the past, where there's enough upside to keep you tantalized, but it just never comes together. Actually, it reminds me of there was an old NFL Network top 10 they did of like quarterback teases, and like some of the guys on that list were like Andy Dalton and Jeff George, and these guys that you would see them play and you'd be like, that guy can do it, and then they don't.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the impression I get out of Kyler Murray at this point. And I think that's the biggest question mark. So, yeah. Any other thoughts on the Cardinals?
That's about it, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me move on to the Rams, who did win a playoff game last year against the Vikings and were dangerously close to upsetting the Eagles in the snow. They picked up Devontae Adams, who finally got out of his abusive relationship with Aaron Rodgers. Good for him. Also picked up defensive tackle Poona Ford from the Chargers, tackle DJ Humphries, tackle David Quessenberry, center Coleman Shelton, as well as extending Jimmy Garoppolo and Matt Stafford, who had a contract restructure. He kept Tutu Atwell around. Tackle Alaric Jackson, running back Ronnie Rivers, as well as running back Kyron Williams, cornerback Akella Witherspoon, and linebacker Troy Reeder. The big question mark is Matt Stafford's health right now, because I don't know if you've been monitoring this situation. But
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah, he's been dealing with I think it's like an inflamed disc in his back, and he has not played in any of the joint practices with the Cowboys, which is a bad sign. And I've heard some people say, like, don't be surprised if you see the Rams kind of gassing up Jimmy Garoppolo in the next few weeks. So,
Yeah, it could happen.
there's shades of 2022 when they came in as the defending champs, and then Matt Stafford was dealing with a shoulder injury, and he was just never the same for the whole season. So, might be a lost season before it even begins for the Rams.
Yeah, that little concerning there. Hopefully it's not, but anytime there's an older quarterback with a shoulder injury, I mean, you just saw it with Derek Carr. You got to hold your breath a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And then wrapping up the NFC West. Yes. I forgot how to count for a second. It's the Seattle Seahawks, who went out and got our boy Sam Darnold. They also brought back Drew Lock. They picked up Cooper Kupp from the Rams, who I believe is a Washington guy.
Yes, he is.
Got Marquez Valdez-Scantling from the Saints as well to build up that receiving room. Defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence from the Cowboys, and Shaquille Griffin from the Minnesota Vikings. I believe Shaquille and Shaquem were both on the Seahawks previously.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, I know Shaquem was. Yeah, cool to see him come back. They also extended punter Michael Dixon, who is now the highest paid punter in the NFL. We are a pro punting podcast. The 3 Ps.
Hell yeah.
Defensive end Jonathan Hankins and linebacker Ernest Jones. I love that we have people under 40 still named Ernest.
And
we gotta keep that
Charles,
going.
honestly, but especially Ernest.
Oh yeah.
Reminds me of the Bob emergency video. Where the fucking Bob's at, man?
Yeah.
This a real Bob nightmare now.
Yeah. It's like DEFCON I'm gonna do the,
Like,
the Kanye thing, and I'm gonna split it right down the middle because I can't remember if 1 or 5 is the bad one. It's DEFCON 3.
DEFCON 2.5.
They also hired
stuff.
Clint Kubiak as their offensive coordinator, John Benton as the new O-line coach, and Andrew Janocko from to be their quarterback coach. All guys from the Saints. Everybody's
just
just
half the old Saints offensive coaching staff. Because I mean,
yeah.
fuck it, they were there. Maybe MVS put in a good word for all of them. Who knows?
Oh yeah. The
Honestly, even him being a Washington guy, I in my mind, I honestly thought that Cooper Kupp would spend his entire career with the Rams.
yeah, I did too.
That one was shocking to me still.
Yeah, I think just last year he became expendable, and
With
the
how
way
good Puka
Puka,
was.
yeah, and I think he still thinks he can be the number one, and the Rams are not a very sentimental team, so
No.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by that as well.
This is a team that got rid of DK Metcalf, so it's gonna be him and JSN leading this offense now with Sam Darnold. So he'll have those reps.
Got rid of Geno as well.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised by at the moment, but now that I think about it more, I'm like, I mean, I'm not really like, oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on their coach's name right now.
Mike McDonald.
Mike McDonald. Yes, thank you. You know, Geno is not Mike McDonald's guy. He was always Pete Carroll's guy. So that move in Vegas made a ton of sense. And I think he looked at the way that Sam Darnold turned around, and they were like, well, this is a good experiment to try, because the Seahawks are in a position where they seem like they are destined to win at least 7 games. And if you get the good Darnold from last year, then who knows where you go. So
They're coming off a 10, so
yeah.
I mean, they tied for the division with the Rams. They lost it on a tiebreaker. Like, they were a tiebreaker away from making the playoffs with Geno Smith. So, like, there's still a good foundation here. And they also had a really solid draft they really weren't able to get into last week. Touched on Gray Zabel a little bit, but Nick Emmanwori is one of the best safeties in this draft. Jalen Milroe is a potential future quarterback from Alabama. And also Torrey Horton, who I think is one of the most underrated receivers in the entire draft from Colorado State. There's a lot to like from this draft class, a lot to like from this offense. I think this is a team that could make the playoffs this year, for sure.
Yeah, I could see it. If a team like the Commanders or the Packers takes a step back, then there's an opening. The Rams are a good regression candidate as well. So it'll be interesting to see. And I believe that's all the teams in the NFC.
Yeah, we got them all.
I keep feeling like we missed one, but if we did, sound off in the comments. So I guess now we'll get into some of the trades that happened, because we did talk about some of them.
There were some interesting ones for sure.
Yeah, I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah, so we saved all the trades for this episode, so there'll be some AFC stuff in here. The first one that I did this all in team order as best I could too, but the Dolphins sending Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh for Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that was interesting, because this was almost a straight up just player for player trade between Minkah and Jalen Ramsey.
Why Jonnu was thrown in, I have no idea. Because he was down the stretch, he was their biggest weapon on offense. Like, kept them in games, won them some games. Why they traded him, I don't exactly know.
Yeah, strange to see, or not strange, but Minkah left in not great terms when he got traded previously. So interesting to see him go back to Miami.
Yeah. Next one. This one was also really weird. So clearly, why the Jonnu Smith thing happened. The Dolphins traded a 6th round pick next year to the Giants for Darren Waller, who had retired before last year, but the Giants still held the rights to, similar to when the Pats had to trade Rob Gronkowski to the Buccaneers back in 2020. So Darren Waller's rights went to the Dolphins, and he's unretiring and he's playing. So welcome back to the NFL. Here's you getting balls from Tua, I guess.
Yeah. Notably, there is a Steeler or a Dolphins player who isn't traded yet, But I'm sure we'll probably touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
We touched on this one last week. The Browns trading DTR and a fifth to the Eagles for Kenny Pickett.
Yep.
I don't think this moves the needle anywhere for either of these teams.
no.
It's just a trade that happened. This one, though, we just touched on a little bit. The Seahawks trading DK Metcalf for a second-round pick this year, who I believe was the Nick Emmanwori pick, if I remember right.
I believe you are correct. Yeah.
So this was
Um,
a huge get for the Steelers,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Like, in the span of a month, we went from, the Steelers starting, Mason Rudolph again and throwing to, I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head, to Aaron Rodgers throwing to DK Metcalf.
Yeah. It's like some real like season 5 of your Madden franchise mode
Yeah,
shit.
literally. So probably obviously the biggest receiver of the offseason to move, without a doubt. Not the only big one from the NFC West, though, as we'll talk about in a minute. The Jags shipped Christian Kirk and his pretty big contract off to the Texans for a 7th-round pick, which I think was just a cap move for the Jags. He got hurt. It didn't really work out, so just move on. Have a nice day. If he stays healthy, pretty decent pickup for the Texans, but that price tag is a little...
Yeah, agreed.
Vikings shipped off Ed Ingram to the Texans also for a 6th-round pick. Depth move for Houston. The Eagles traded C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the Texans for Kenyon Green in a 2026 fifth. He was hurt in practice today. The initial fear was a torn ACL, but he's undergoing more tests to see exactly what it is. So the grade on this trade will have to wait to see if he actually steps on the field this season. But at face value, he was a pretty big impact player on defense for the Super Bowl champs. So big loss for the Texans if he can't end up playing this year.
Oh, yeah.
Mentioned the departure of Geno Smith from Seattle. He went to the Raiders for a 3rd-round pick. So him and Pete Carroll once again are reunited.
I like that move a lot.
Yeah. And then the other big NFC West wide receiver move, the Niners traded Deebo Samuel to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick, which was kind of funny to me because there was the whole thing with him and his holdout, I think 2 years ago, and they didn't know how it was going to get done. They got the thing done, gave him a lot of money, and then shipped him off anyway.
Yeah, I know. Everybody just kind of forgot about that, like that he wanted to go to Carolina. It seemed like because that's where he's from, and
South
then
Carolina guy.
Oh yeah, he got re-signed, and okay, he's just staying. It's gonna be fine. And then he got fully like usurped in the depth chart by oh my god, I'm drawing a blank on everybody's names right now.
I mean, Brandon Ayuk, who also
Yes, that's who it is.
He tore his ACL though. Like he's coming off a pretty big injury. I mean, Ricky Pearsall in the limited games he had looked good. And I think if he hadn't, been shot and was able to play the entire season, I think you would have seen more out of him. But the limited games he had, he looked like the guy they drafted.
Oh yeah.
So I think between both of those, it was okay. We just paid Brandon. We've got this young guy who's coming up. Sorry but goodbye.
Yep. So.
Then the Texans. This one was really interesting. The Texans traded Laramie Tunsil to the Commies for 4 picks: a 2nd, a 3rd, a 4th, and a 7th.
Yeah, and they also sent a 4th-rounder with him as well.
Yeah.
I was a little curious about this one, but this would have been Tunsil's 2nd contract with the Texans. He would have been demanding a lot more money, so I assume this is probably a cap move for them.
Getting ahead of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's the Commanders' problem to deal with and not the Texans' problem.
Yeah.
And then this is a move after Week 18 I fully expected to happen. The Patriots traded Joe Milton in a 7th to the Cowboys for a 5th-round pick. And yeah, after how well he played against the Bills and took the Patriots out of the number 1 pick, it was watching him was so fun in that game though, and that was the game that gave us Will Campbell, so I can't be mad about it.
Yeah.
But I fully expected this trade to happen after that game, and so to get a 5th-round pick out of a guy they took in the 6th round the year before, can't be mad about that.
Yeah, it's already a net positive.
Yeah, but dude still has a hell of an arm. If the Cowboys get a use for him, that's cool because he was fun as hell to watch. So,
Oh, yeah.
sayonara, but you were cool. And then with the DK Metcalf trade, the Steelers traded George Pickens to the Cowboys for a third-round pick next year and a fifth-round pick in 2027. And I'm sorry, but this is like the most Cowboys move I've ever seen, I think.
Yeah, I will say,
So on brand.
from what I've seen about George Pickens, close, their names are too similar. Thank God they're not on the same team anymore. From what I've seen about George Pickens is like he's kind of weird, but then like game time
But
rolls
he's
around
good.
and he's good and he is like very locked in as a player.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to be a distraction like Antonio Brown or whatever Steelers quarterback or Steelers receiver who's doing something stupid this week. So we'll see. I don't know. I hope it doesn't blow up, but yeah, it is very on brand for the Cowboys to do this.
But that being said, I mean, a top 2 receiver core of him and CeeDee Lamb could be pretty fun.
Yeah.
So, the Cowboys also made 2 other trades. They also got Kenneth Murray from the Titans for a late round pick swap, and they also, for a 7th round pick and a 5th round pick, got Khair Elam from the Bills, who I think is also an underrated move. So the Cowboys really added as much to this team through trades as they did through free agency this offseason, which is certainly a move given the limited draft capital every team has, but you do you.
I guess they're banking on being pretty good this year.
Yeah. Pair of guards were traded as well. The Rams traded Jonah Jackson to the Bears for a 6th round pick, and the Bears also picked up multi-time Super Bowl champion Joe Thuney from the Chiefs for a 4th round pick next year. So the Bears really, this is how they short up their O-line. Both of these guys were starters for their respective teams. I mean, Joe Thuney's won Super Bowls with 2 different teams, 2 different legendary head coaches, 2 different legendary quarterbacks. If there's any guy on that O-line you want in the locker room to be a leader, that's the guy you want.
Oh, yeah.
So a huge pickup, if anything, for the locker room for the Bears. We mentioned Jordan Mason earlier from the Vikings. They got him at all because they traded a 6th round pick to the Niners for his services. So he was a pretty solid guy for the couple games he played, but the Niners have just been decimated with running back injuries the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
With everybody coming back and healthy, just not enough roster spots for him. So out he went. The Patriots, in a cap-cutting move, traded Devon Godchaux to the Saints for a 7th round pick next year. When healthy, still a pretty solid player. Just another one of those guys that was brought in by the old regime that Mike Vrabel kind of wanted to, steer away from. So a casualty from that. The Eagles traded Bryce Huff to the Niners for a 5th round pick next year, which is a lot less than they got from the Jets when they traded for him.
Yeah, I'm just looking right now.
Up. I think it was Hassan Reddick for him.
I believe you're correct, yeah.
And they ended up getting a 5th round pick for him. I mean, he won a Super Bowl, so, I mean, whatever, but...
Yeah.
And then lastly, this trade happened like yesterday. The Eagles also traded Thomas Booker to the Raiders for Jacorian Bennett, so a bit of a depth move there for both teams. Other coaching changes that happened, obviously, we talked about this one already back in the winter, but Bill Belichick is now the head coach at North Carolina. So instead of it being Patriots fans that can't use their own head coach in Madden, it will be North Carolina fans that can't use their own head coach in CFB 26.
So, wasn't UNC supposed to be featured on Hard Knocks this year?
I think they were.
What happened?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, because like a couple of the podcasts I listened to at work, I started hearing stuff like the Buffalo Bills on Hard Knocks, and I was like, I thought it was supposed to be UNC.
Yeah.
So that's weird. There's been some weirdness just with the whole Bill Belichick thing.
I think more of it's his girlfriend, but
yeah. Oh yeah. Apparently it's happened 5 months ago. Okay, it fell through. Okay, I guess I just wasn't paying attention.
Real descriptive. It
yeah.
fell through. Well, yeah, no shit.
But apparently they're working on some Hulu like documentary series about UNC. So
I hope it goes well. I really do.
Yeah, same.
Like I hope for him this isn't just some, oh, I still have it, I want to go try college and have it go like shit. Like I hope he like, you know, takes it as, and I think he will, but I like taking it as seriously, doing most of the stuff that he did in the pros, and with, the landscape of college football kind of starting to shift towards more of that NFL thing where the transfer portal is effectively free agency now, and you can do a lot of more similar things in the NFL in college than you used to be able to. I think there's potential for this to actually work well.
Yeah, there is a really good podcast that Secret Base did called "Who Killed College Football," and the whole thing is predicated on when Nick Saban resigned as head coach of Alabama, and basically said that the sport that he knew doesn't exist anymore, and they
And
kind
that's
of
the
break.
greatest college coach of all time saying that too. It's not just
Yeah,
some dude.
and they broke it down in the way of like Nick Saban's coaching style was kind of wearing down his players, and I don't say that in a bad way, and rebuilding them to be perfect parts of his team, right? Which, if you think about the prime Patriots, that's kind of what Belichick did. But Belichick also had huge personalities like Tom Brady and Gronk on his teams, right? And
Yeah.
managed them. And so I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for him with UNC, is because Belichick is still kind of an old school head coach. I mean, Nick Saban was also a Belichick guy. Or was he a Parcells guy? I know he's from that same coaching tree, but
I know Saban coached under Belichick with Cleveland, but I think they were both from Parcells, if I remember right.
yeah, I believe so. So that'll be the interesting thing is does Belichick's style still work, and is that still his style, or is he going to adapt?
I hope it does. Like I really
Yeah.
hope that goes well. I mean, he isn't my head coach anymore, but I still love the dude. I still love what he did for the Patriots. So I wish nothing but the best for that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then also Frank Reich, who of course was with the Colts for a while and then had a absolutely terrible half season with the Panthers, was hired by Stanford to be their head coach in a transitionary 1-year deal, and he was hired by the program's new general manager, Andrew Luck.
That's awesome.
So I forget what exactly it was, but Stanford hired Andrew Luck for this role like around a year ago or so. And
Yeah.
the previous head coach had some not so great allegations come up. I'm not exactly sure what they were, but Andrew Luck ended up firing him. And so, Frank Reich was Andrew Luck's head coach with Indy. And so he was like, hey, while we do an internal or an external thorough search for a new head coach, do you want to just step in and coach these guys for a year and keep the program afloat? And he was like, sure, all right. So for the next year, Frank Reich will be the head coach of Stanford until they find somebody else.
That'll be interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a deal like that before.
Yeah, it's a really unique deal, and I think it's also going to be Frank Reich's first experience coaching in college at all. Like I think when he left as a player, he went right into the NFL to coach. So he's never been in a college situation before. And obviously Belichick was around Navy for a while back in the 70s or so. So this is going to be all new for Frank Reich, and it's all new for Andrew Luck in this role. But obviously a guy that, is one of the greatest players Stanford's ever had. I trust his opinion on it. I think it could go okay.
Well, and you got to remember too, like Frank Reich is the one that revived Andrew Luck's career. So they have a very close relationship because of that. It ended up for both of them only being kind of a flash in the pan for 1 year, but there are definitely some strong feelings there. So
I mean, who knows? Maybe this revitalizes Frank Reich's coaching career.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't work out with the Panthers, because I didn't think he did a very bad job with the Colts the entire time he was there.
Yeah.
So,
and then we on to retirements from this offseason. We have a pretty goddamn good team here.
Yeah.
Of dudes that stopped playing this year. So Teron Armstead, Jason Peters, Tyron Smith, Ryan Ramczyk, all tackles. Like, I think Jason Peters is a Hall of Fame case. I think Ryan Ramczyk had a Hall of Fame case if he didn't get injured and had to retire young. Tyron Smith, I think, is going to be in the Hall of Fame. And Teron Armstead was still a really solid guy for a long time. Just tackles alone, what a class of guys that hung it up this year.
Oh yeah.
Mentioned Derek Carr earlier. Jimmy Graham, Julio Jones, Zach Martin. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer too.
Yeah.
Tyrann Mathieu, C.J. Mosley, David Andrews, longtime Patriot, Patrick Peterson, Ndamukong Suh, Ronald Darby, Mason Crosby, one of the better kickers of this generation. Micah Hyde, Justin Pugh, straight off the couch, now straight back onto the couch. Sam Hubbard, Mitch Morse, Brandon Graham, maybe a Hall of Famer, Brandon Graham. Time will tell. Keanu Neal and Mike Williams. Like, what a class of guys.
Yeah, the Mike Williams one is strange too, because he's only played like 8 seasons. And he re-signed with the Chargers after I believe it was a year in, where was he? Was he in Washington or?
He was with the Jets, and then he was traded to the Steelers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And he returned to the Chargers this year, and then and retired. And this happened. No, we got a section we'll talk about in a second. But the Chargers made another legacy pickup, which is going to be interesting. A lot of really great players retired this year. And Tyrann Mathieu, great story of like really turning your career around and going from a guy that a lot of people saw as a liability to, borderline Hall of Famer. Really underrated guys like Patrick Peterson. He's probably going to go to Hall of Fame too. So
underrated kick returner Patrick Peterson was too.
Oh yeah.
Not quite Devin Hester's level, but one of the better ones of the last 10 years easily.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, for me, it's weird now seeing like guys that, I was old enough to remember being drafted now retiring. Like the Brady thing was different because, I didn't really watch football regularly till I was like 6 or 7, which would be, 2007 or so. But I remember Ndamukong Suh being drafted as high as he was from Nebraska. I remember watching that draft. So like seeing him retire now and guys like him retire is yeah. I don't know if I like that, but some really solid careers though. Again, a couple Hall of Famers without a doubt, especially on the O-line. So congrats to all those guys. Job well done.
Oh yeah.
And then the in memory of section, we did lose some pretty notable people this offseason. Of course, Steve McMichael, who had battled ALS for quite some time and did so heroically. We lost him earlier this year, part of the 85 Bears defense, who I still think is the single greatest defense of all time.
Yeah,
2-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, also a WCW champion. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but just wanted to put that in there.
Oh yeah.
Also had 2 owners pass away. Virginia Hallis McCaskey, who was 102 years old.
Oh yeah.
Regardless, well lived.
I was gonna say, regardless of what people have thought of how she's run the team, like that is a fucking achievement just to make it that far in life.
Yeah. One of George Hallis's kids, who George Hallis was founded the Bears, was there for so long. One of his kids, still was living this long running thing. So
yeah.
And the Jim Irsay one was shocking, man. Like that one was out of nowhere.
Jim Irsay was a very interesting character. I always kind of liked him. I know the Irsays were weird. Jim was, I don't want to say there was something punk rock about him, but like he was very different than other NFL owners.
Yeah.
I think
polarizing is the best word for him.
Yeah, he's one of the major reasons why Dan Snyder does not own a team anymore. Because if you remember when the NFL was trying to out him, and he basically said like,
one.
Yeah, and Dan Snyder tried saying like, I've got dirt on all the other owners, and Jim Irsay literally said, you don't have shit.
Nope.
So
called the bluff.
Yeah, and was very public about his previous substance abuse issues. Everybody that I've ever heard who like worked as a reporter in Indy would talk about how personal Jim Irsay was, and he was very approachable. So, he had his own demons, but he was profoundly human.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the John Boyce quote when he was talking about oh my god, now I'm drawing a blank on his name too. The Falcons coach, who was a former quarterback, and he just described him as nobody's ever any one person.
Norm Van Brocklin?
Yes, that's who it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So rest in peace to both of them.
And also, we lost Brian Brayman, who was a member of the first Eagles Super Bowl team. Also played for the Texans for a couple of years. Lewis Sharp, a 3-time Pro Bowl tackle with the Cardinals. And Jim Marshall, who was part of the Purple People Eaters defense with the Vikings, NFL champ, and a 2-time Pro Bowler. So rest in peace to all of those guys that we lost this past year.
Widely believed that Jim Marshall is the best player not in the Hall of Fame, and
I would agree.
it sucks that it might take this, but I hope that all of the people who've been talking about Jim Marshall and remembering how great he was, I hope this gets him in finally, because God, does he belong in there. Jim Marshall played 20 seasons at defensive end in the NFL and never missed a game. That is unbelievable. Like, unironically, one of the greatest football players of all time. And just like a profoundly interesting person. If you've never read about Jim Marshall, just go read about all the other stuff that he was involved in throughout his life. Incredible player, and just an incredibly like wise and well-learned person. So rest in peace, Jim.
I'll be honest, I think the same thing's going to happen to Mark Gastineau.
Yeah, both of them belong in the Hall of Fame at this point.
It sucks sometimes that it takes a guy dying for them to get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah,
and
well,
like, just a little bit of just a quick tangent. The same thing happened with the Baseball Hall of Fame last week. It should not have taken Dick Allen that long to get into Cooperstown. And it's a shame that he died before he was able to see it. And I'm glad his wife was there and was able to read that speech. And it was a very good speech, but it's a shame he wasn't there. And it's a shame that Dave Parker, it took him that long too, and he only passed a month before the ceremony. But both of those men should have been there and been there for it.
Yeah, it reminds me of what I talked about as my bottom split moment, but I kind of turned it into a positive thing a couple weeks ago on Fake Racers, was when Ozzy passed away. And it was like, it sucks that this is how you have to really think about him again, but like sometimes that's what you need, you know. Sometimes it takes something bad to really remind you of like what a person was. And that applies to everybody we're talking about, not just Jim Marshall, but
Yeah, and obviously, you know what, that not even athletes, like that goes for just anybody. Like even regular everyday people that, you know, don't do anything special like this or aren't famous or anything like that. Even people like that, you don't really know what they did for you until they're not around anymore doing it.
Yeah, agreed. So,
but I hope all of those guys get the recognition that they deserve and will be recognized as such someday.
Oh yeah.
Moving on to rule changes, the experimental kickoff changes for last year were made permanent. So the new kickoff stuff, all that stuff is now a permanent part of the game. However, the onside kick rule was amended, where before it was only allowed in the fourth quarter by the team that was losing. It has been amended to now the losing team at any point in the game can attempt one.
Thank God.
So if you're down 7-0 in the first quarter, fuck it, you can do one now.
Yeah,
or
it was
7-3.
It was ridiculous watching the Super Bowl and the Chiefs finally scoring in the third quarter and then having to kick off being down like 4 scores. Like, that needed to change. Yeah.
And not that any of those would have been successful. We'll never know because we never saw them. But not even getting the chance to, like, come on.
Yeah.
So glad that was amended. I still think the onside kick should be allowed at any point by anybody, even if you're up by 35 and want to dig, really give it to somebody. But this is still better than what it was last year.
Yeah, agreed.
The NFL also introduced a Sony Hawkeye system to replace the chain gang for line-to-gang measurements, but the chain gang will still be there as a secondary system for first downs. I mean, I get it with the advancements in technology and scanning and all that stuff, but I'm going to kind of miss the guys just sitting there, flipping the numbers over all over the place.
Yeah, well, the problem with this is it doesn't address the fundamental issue, which is bad spots, because the officials are still spotting the ball. It seems like the NFL is like eliminating a variable just to like, I don't know. I just don't get it, man. Like, we have the technology to fix this,
Yeah, how do we not have like a chip inside the ball by now?
Yeah, it's absurd. I don't get it.
I don't know. And then finally, or not finally, but also the playoff overtime rules where both teams were guaranteed possession of the ball have finally been extended to the regular season. It
Thank
took way
God.
too fucking long, but we finally got here.
Thank God. Yep. I honestly can't believe it took this long. Actually, I can.
Seriously.
But-
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the worst news that Patrick Mahomes has ever received. Um, and also the NFL is now recognizing AAFC records as NFL records, which means that Tom Brady now has competition for the most NFL championships of all time with Otto Graham.
Yeah. I like that move a lot too, especially because they, in effect, absorbed the AAFC. They only kept 3 of the teams, but like, I think it's cool that they're formally recognizing how great some play, like especially those early Browns teams were. So
Yeah, like the Browns were the dominant team of the 1950s, so for them to get recognized for what they did in the 40s that built them up to that is pretty damn cool.
Yep.
And
So.
lastly, the NFL has banned smelling salts. and George Kittle, if you didn't see, was fucking
I haven't
pissed.
seen this. That clip was so good. Dude, like the entire time I was watching that, I was just thinking, I was like, what if he just like starts huffing paint on the sidelines or something, and just like every drive, George Kittle's going out there and he looks like Charlie from the fucking Dayman episode of It's Always Sunny, where his mouth is all silver.
You have free will. I'll fucking paint.
We're sniffing glue on the sidelines now.
Yeah. And then some notable releases that happened. The Raiders cut Christian Wilkins with interesting circumstances surrounding that one.
Did you hear about this? Like what he was doing?
Yeah.
He kissed one of his teammates' heads, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody reported that, and one of his former teammates quote tweeted it, just said he always been a little freaky.
I did not see that part.
It's so fucking funny.
But apparently, according to the Raiders, he also like didn't quite do a rehab thing the way they wanted him to, and so they voided a bunch of his guaranteed money and then cut him after. So, like he was the prize free agent the Raiders got last year. Now, only a year in, he's gone and he's a free agent. So,
just a weird situation.
The Steelers cut Cordarrelle Patterson. The Seahawks cut Noah Fant, who was one of the players they got in the Russell Wilson trade. The Patriots released their longtime long snapper Joe Cardona, which I only mention because he was the last player on the Patriots still from the Super Bowl 53 roster. So nobody from that team that beat the Rams is left in New England.
Oh my gosh. Also, I just found it is Jonathan Feliciano just said, brother, always been a little freaky.
And then the Titans waive injured wide receiver Traylon Burks because he fractured his collarbone in practice 2 weeks ago, which closes the book on one of the dumbest fucking trades in NFL history.
Yeah,
Titans traded A.J. Brown for that.
He already looked like he wasn't going to make the roster this year, and then this just kind of sped up that process. But yeah, this is one of, I mean, nothing against Traylon Burks, but this is who they traded a bona fide all-pro superstar receiver and tried to replace him with.
Yep. This is why that doesn't always work.
Literally killed a team that looked like Super Bowl contenders basically overnight.
Yep. And if you've been living under a rock for the past couple months and you listened to our episode last week and you were like, why did the Ravens pick a kicker in the 6th round? Well, this is why. They released their longtime kicker, Justin Tucker, because a lot of sexual assault allegations came up against him, and they're not good at all.
So the most interesting thing about it was after these allegations dropped that people were finding a lot of tweets from like 5 years ago of people calling, like other players talking about how much of a creep he was to like massage therapists.
Yeah.
So this isn't like, I mean, it blindsided people when it happened, but it wasn't like there was no hiding from it as soon as it happened,
Right.
Yeah, it's just it's a shame.
I mean,
you think somebody, and obviously everything is still alleged, but like Justin Tucker was probably going to the Hall of Fame, and he probably still will. But this is a
I mean,
huge
yeah.
black mark on what has been so far an excellent career.
I mean, he was the last player left from the 2012 Super Bowl win Ravens team. The most accurate kicker in NFL history, one of the most decorated kickers in NFL history, a surefire Hall of Famer, and now you've
Yeah.
got this unbelievably large blemish on that. And phrasing it that way is probably wrong. Like, there's definitely a better way to phrase that for sure. But just, it is a goddamn shame that someone that was recognized like that and was renowned like that and was such a great player had to go and do something like that.
Yeah. So
Allegedly, of course, but like some of the stuff that came out was really not good.
no. So it's a shame. I
Yeah.
feel for all of the women who felt like they were assaulted by him, and I don't say that to undercut anything that that may or may not have happened to them. But
I hope
no.
whatever the truth is comes out. That's
Yeah.
like if it means he did it, fuck him, right? If
Yeah.
it means, he was innocent, great for him. Like whatever the truth is, I hope we hear in full someday. And we
Yeah.
know for sure what happened.
And for
That's
what
all.
it's worth, too, like I hope that Justin Tucker can grow from this, and I hope he can somehow make amends for this. I know it'll never be fully okay, but like the whole point of holding people accountable is to inspire change in them. And I hope that he gets the help that he needs also, and he's able to, work on himself. So
Yeah, regardless though, he's probably played his last game in the NFL.
more than likely, yeah.
So yeah, so again, the Ravens, of course, took Tyler Loop in the 6th round to replace him. So the Justin Tucker era is over with the Ravens. Moving on to training camp and off-season injuries, because unfortunately, there's already been a lot of them. Because that's like the one part of this year I fucking hate and don't like coming back to.
Yep.
Artie Burns, who the Dolphins signed in the offseason, tore his ACL on the first day of training camp, so he's already done for the year, and they're shorthanded now at cornerback.
That's just rotten luck.
Will Levis is out for the year. He underwent shoulder surgery about a week ago, and if you saw the picture he posted, that was gnarly as fuck.
I have not seen this. I'm going to have to look this up now.
Dude, his shoulder was fucked. I've never seen a shoulder look like that before, and I hope I never see it again. But after seeing it, I was like, oh, yep, no wonder why he got that shoulder fixed. Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, no.
I kind of wish I didn't see that now.
Yeah, not pretty. So Will Levis will not be playing it down to football until this time next year. Najee Harris, who the Chargers had just brought in, suffered an eye injury in a fireworks accident. Because Jason Pierre-Paul losing 3 of his fingers was not enough of an inspiration to make sure you were safe at fireworks.
He's really just like, no, I'm built different though.
Yeah. The Browns lost Martin Emerson Jr. for the year. He tore his Achilles in practice. The Cowboys lost Tyler Guyton for 4 to 6 weeks with a bone fracture. That was initially reported to be way worse, but he'll still miss some time anyway.
I did see that, yeah.
The Lions lost Levi Onwuzurike for the year. He tore his ACL. The Bucks put Tristan Wirfs on the PUP list from offseason knee surgery. Salvin Ahmed for the Colts suffered a really bad leg injury from a hip drop tackle in practice the other day. The Patriots lost Marcellus Style Jr. for the year with a torn ACL. Mentioned earlier, Ennis Rakestraw for the Lions is out for the year. He underwent shoulder surgery because he hurt it in practice last week. And then Rashawn Slater for the Chargers, who got that big extension last month, tore his patella tendon today in practice, and now he's out for the year as well.
Yeah, this is the thing that you always dread is, all of these preseason injuries.
Yeah. And the Colts and Ravens, who were playing a preseason game, while we were doing this podcast, the Colts' 3rd round pick, Justin Wally, who was looking to be one of their starting cornerbacks to start the year, he tore his ACL in that game tonight, so he's done for the year. and Anthony Richardson on a sack dislocated one of his fingers.
Was it just a finger? Because I know he got up like holding his arm. So yeah, that's
I
good
think
to-
it was just a dislocated pinky, but
Yeah,
man, I mean, Anthony Richardson cannot catch a fucking break.
yeah.
I think there's a pretty good chance that Daniel Jones is their week 1 starter at this point.
Yep, certainly seems like it's heading that way.
Which
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm even saying that with where he was with the Giants last year. He's now the starting quarterback for the Colts with a pit stop with the Vikings in between there. Like, the fuck?
Yeah.
And then some AFC stuff that happened since last week, since this was the NFC show. The Chargers brought back Keenan Allen, who was there for 11 seasons before his year with the Bears last year. So
I always get a kick out of when a player leaves a team that he's been with for a really long time for a year and then he comes back immediately after. Like Bobby Wagner did that.
Yeah.
Somebody else did that recently too. It's always funny when that happens.
Yeah.
Oh, CJ Gardner-Johnson did it with the Eagles. Yeah.
Yes, he did. The Browns signed Tyler Huntley, so they have like 6 quarterbacks on the roster now.
The fuck?
'Cause I guess Shadur was hurt somehow, even though he's starting their game tomorrow. I think Pickett's hurt. I think Dylan Gabriel has something going on, so it's basically a depth signing for the preseason. Like there's no way he makes the roster, but
Yeah.
he's there for now. The Dolphins gave Zach Sealer a 3-year deal or a 3-year extension for $64 million. Great deal for the middle of their defensive line. The Broncos gave Zach Allen a 4-year, $102 million extension. Another great deal for them. And the Bengals and Hamilton County, Ohio, agreed to a new lease on Paycor Stadium that will keep the Bengals there through 2036. They're
Good.
going
Now
to be
pay
around a
Trey Hendrickson.
while. Yeah. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
still not resolved.
Yeah, we talked about that and McLaurin and Micah Parsons. Like, just pay your players, you guys. Come on.
The Commanders and Mayor Muriel Bowser of DC also announced plans for them to build a new stadium on the site of the old RFK Stadium, and I am so fucking happy this is happening.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So, especially because they're not even in DC anymore. So, and FedEx
Yeah.
Field has aged horribly. So,
Yes, it has. It's
or
not even
whatever it's
called
called
that
now.
anymore either. It's
Yeah.
something else. But yeah, them being back in DC will be really cool.
Oh yeah.
And then last week, a suspect intending to shoot up the NFL headquarters got to the building, but then went up the wrong elevator and ended up killing 4 other people, and then himself. The Skip Bayless tweet about this was fucking
Jesus
ridiculous.
Christ.
If you didn't see it,
Yeah, it's
rest in peace to everybody that was killed from this. And the guy was clearly not in the right headspace and should not have been in possession of a gun. But regardless of who he was intending to kill, innocent people still died, and they shouldn't have. So
yeah.
I hope all their families are healing and can, try and grieve their best. But just a really bad situation overall, and I hope we don't see any more of this, but we probably will, unfortunately.
Yep. Unfortunately, yeah, this whole thing is a little beyond the scope of this show, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's NFL
fucked.
news, unfortunately, though, and I wish we didn't have to talk about it, but
agreed. Yeah.
yeah. The Chargers thing you mentioned earlier, though, Philip Rivers officially retired from the NFL as a member of the Chargers.
I was surprised he hadn't retired yet, if I was being honest.
Yeah, he hasn't played since 2020, but decided, hey, I should actually finally do that, and retired as a member of the Chargers. So, good for him.
Yeah.
The Chargers will definitely retire his jersey someday. Is he a Hall of Famer? I don't think so. I think not winning a Super Bowl is a big detriment to his Hall of Fame case. Will he be in the Chargers Hall of Fame? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Very
they
good
also
career.
announced on that they're going to induct Rodney Harrison into their team Hall of Fame this year, which very well deserved as well.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Speaking of that, the Hall of Fame class of 2025 had their induction ceremony the other day. Antonio Gates, Eric Allen, Jared Allen, and Sterling Sharp. If you did not get a chance to listen to Sterling Sharp's speech, it was fucking incredible. It is one of the best speeches I've ever listened to in my life.
That's what I've heard so far. I haven't been able to listen to it, but
It was
Sterling
awesome.
Sharp's always great. So
Yeah.
I A career very unfortunately cut short due to injury.
He could have been the greatest wide receiver of all time.
Yeah.
I will stand on this. I think he could have been better than Jerry Rice.
I mean, you look at those late 90s Packers team. Brett Favre won 3 straight MVPs, and Sterling Sharp basically wasn't there for that. If he stays healthy, imagine what those Favre Packers teams can do.
Yeah. Let's see. What else was there? Antonio Gates also had a really good speech, but Sterling Sharp's was incredible. And now with him and Shannon, the first pair of brothers in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is pretty damn cool.
Oh, nice.
Jordan Addison, who had pled guilty to a DUI charge earlier this year, was suspended for 3 games by the NFL, so he'll be ineligible until week 4. And Rashee Rice,
call an Uber.
And speaking of that, Rashee Rice was sentenced to 30 days in jail and 5 months of probation for the car accident he caused in Texas last year. Apparently, he can serve his sentence at any point during that probationary period and also receive deferred education. He is definitely going to be suspended for that as well, no question.
Yeah.
They haven't officially announced it yet, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. So, and I mean, he's coming off a brutal knee injury last year too, so
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how this all kind of lines up. So,
yeah, time will tell with how severe of a punishment that is. And then lastly, our definite WTF moment of the offseason is NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell resigning after expensing the union for trips to strip clubs.
Yeah, there was also stories about him being kind of a tyrant when it came to his parking spot. Apparently he requested that he had his own dedicated spot, and he requested that the one next to him be empty so nobody door dings him, and just dude very much was abusing his power.
Yeah,
it's not good too when you look at the whole thing with Shamar Stewart and his holdout over a contract, and the NFLPA is in shambles right now too. It's just a goddamn mess. Oh my god.
Yeah. But he also held a part-time role with a private equity firm that the NFL had approved to pursue minority ownership in franchises. Blatant conflict of interest with that. And he also reportedly kept players in the dark about an arbitration ruling regarding suspected collusion between owners.
I did hear about that too, yeah.
So, man, what the hell?
Yeah, that's pretty much the exact opposite thing you want out of your union rep.
Yeah, and it also led to the president of the NFLPA, J.C. Treader, to resign. So, yeah.
What a mess. Oh my god. Money corrupts all, unfortunately.
Yes, it does. So, the second entry after the offseason for Dunning Rings, Lloyd Howell, welcome aboard.
I think we can also say that NFL Network is probably also going to be Dunyan Rings.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that actually. So ESPN has acquired Red Zone, the NFL Network, and all of the NFL's fantasy football assets, and some more regular season games in exchange for the NFL getting a 10% equity stake in ESPN.
So thankfully, NFL Films is not included in this. They still do great shit.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was. Man, NFL Network and NFL Media produced some genuinely great stuff. And so I am an avid fan of Heed the Call, which is, a show hosted by 3 former NFL Network employees, and which, I listened to their previous show Around the NFL, which was a fantastic show. And one of the things that was always great about NFL Network was, say what you will about Roger Goodell, but he always held a stance that you can say whatever you want about the NFL if you work for it, right?
Yeah.
He never control. The NFL very, very rarely came down on things people in their own media would say, and that all kind of changed after COVID because this deal has been in the works for seemingly 4 or 5 years, and Dan Hansis was talking about this on the episode that came out today, where they were kind of reminiscing on their time at NFL Network. And he mentioned, he was like, a lot of we kind of couldn't get away with the same stuff. Like once we kind of knew that this deal was down the road somewhere. And I feel for the people who are probably going to get let go and who have done some fantastic journalism for NFL Network. It just sucks. I mean, there obviously could be good things that come out of it, but as we always see in these large corporate mergers, like ESPN is not going to keep NFL Network exactly the same. Like,
I am not looking forward to the inevitable ads on Red Zone.
Yeah. So
not looking forward to that.
It's a shame. So
No,
I hope
I think-
everybody still keeps their jobs, but if they don't, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think some of the biggest losers from this are also the people that preferred NFL's fantasy over ESPN's fantasy because they're going to merge together and become one.
Yeah, that too.
So, yeah. And between that and the WWE also announced they're moving their premier events from Peacock to ESPN starting next year. Like, I don't know how it is that ESPN manages to get the rights to, like, fucking everything. Like, they're going to have the WWE premiere shit. They're going to have all this NFL stuff now. They got the NBA Finals. They've got the Stanley Cup Finals every other year. I mean, they've got just so much shit. Like, how big they've gotten. And on all the college football stuff, too, and all the college basketball stuff. It's nuts. It's genuinely nuts. And as part of this, too, like, ESPN Plus has been roughly $10-12 a month now for a couple years. It's got all the, the other live games that don't end up on TV and the other articles and documentaries and stuff. Well, with all of this, it's being folded in and becoming a $30 a month subscription now.
Jeez.
So it's just, ugh.
And to give them at least the slightest benefit of the doubt, and ESPN has gotten a lot of criticism over the last 10 or so years in shifting their programming from covering sports to talking heads. And, like you watch Sports Center and it used to be sports highlights. And now it's like, hey, here's LeBron's new shoe deal. And did you see what Caitlin Clark tweeted? And it's like, nobody gives a shit,
Didn't they watch Shannon Sharp last week too?
I think so. I think you might be correct. So if this is the start of a move back towards actual sports journalism, then I'm all here for it.
I just have my doubts.
Yeah, it's just
because for a while it's been, what is the most ethical, proper, informational sports reporting? It's been what gets us the most clicks.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, the fact of the matter is that guys like Stephen A. Smith get you more clicks and get you more subscriptions. That's just what it is.
Yep. We already talked about Skip Bayless today.
Yeah. I mean, what the fuck, man?
Fortunately, yeah, the Disney monolith just continues to grow. So
yeah.
Hey. So well, that's an unfortunately what's the word I'm looking for? Not negative, but like
I think
whatever the opposite
say, though, that ESPN will never be touching this podcast with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah. We'll sell out to somebody else, but not ESPN.
Yeah. So, hey, CBS. Hi.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Jim.
I don't know.
Whatever the opposite of optimist is. I'm drawing a blank on it now.
Pessimist.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, so not to end the show on such a pessimistic note, but
you get that sometimes.
Yeah, that's football. But hey, on a more optimistic note, we're about 2 or so weeks away from football. Proper football.
Actual counting statistical football, yeah. Stuff that matters.
Yeah, so we'll probably take a couple weeks off. Maybe we'll come up with something fun to do in the meantime, but we will be back before week 1 to give you week 1 picks, kind of wrap up all the other preseason stories. Yeah, try to make our annual predictions like we do. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to plug?
Unrelated to football, but Shout out the Braintree, Mass. Little League baseball team for beating New Hampshire tonight and making the Little League World Series.
Hell yeah. That's
Good
awesome.
fucking shit, guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So this has been Oofsides. Thanks for listening and watching, or wherever you're consuming this podcast. And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.